Hello, thanks for joining for another episode of our podcast, Help Nobody Told Me. And I'm Jasmine Shapiro. This is my partner, Shannon Johnson.
Hello.
We're with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Chicago. And we are so excited because we have Linda Monty here as our guest, and she's with Limitless Health and Wellness. And you're going to talk to us about stem cell therapy.
I am.
And we don't even know what that means. So I could read a whole long bio, or you can explain it so that everybody understands.
Okay,
In
so
simple terms.
adipose stem cell therapy is when we actually use your own stem cells. So we take them out of your love handles, which everybody loves that.
Does that mean we lose some love handles?
A little bit.
Okay,
And
so
how do you-
there's
how
a
do-
little added bonus.
Yeah, and how do you take it out? Like
Okay, so
with
it is
syringe?
it's a mini liposuction, and it just goes right under the top layer of the skin. There's no pain. You're not put under. It's just a local anesthesia. It only takes about 20 minutes, and they take about 50 cc's out on both sides of your love handles. And when they remove the fat, they're just taking a little bit under the skin from the liposuction of fat. Then the fat is removed, and then it's put into a special centrifuge that spins the fat for 90 minutes. And during that 90 minutes, the fat cells are separated from the stem cells. I'm simplifying everything for you. They're separated, and then after that 90 minutes, the stem cells are then re-injected into your body via IV drip here that gets all over regeneration, and also injections to where you need it. Like if you have knee pain, if you have hip, shoulder, wrists, elbows, wherever you might need it, you get direct injections into those areas to start the regeneration directly in that area.
Okay, if you're not listening, you can't see my face, but I'm
I
just
know.
like,
Wait, what happens when it gets spun?
So,
Spun.
so the stem cells have to be separated from the fat. So that's what happens, because when we do the liposuction, we're taking the fat out too, but the stem cells are sitting dormant inside of that fat. So we need to separate them. So it's a special proprietary centrifuge that spins it for 90 minutes, and then it just actually separates it. And then we have nice pure stem cells that go back into your body. We get about 120 million cells, between 120 million and 150 million cells that go back into your body. And then the beautiful thing is that because of their adipose stem cells, and I'll explain the difference between adipose and bone marrow in a minute, but adipose stem cells actually can expand. So we save a very small amount. We send it to an FDA compliant lab, and then they grow your cells out, and then you have enough for the rest of your life for future regeneration, for future if you have problems. We have people that come in, and then 6 months later they're coming in because they might have hurt something else, or they just want all over regeneration, or they just want anti-aging. So
Are you just in the Chicagoland area?
we have multiple clinics. We have multiple clinics, and we're opening them very rapidly all over. We have them in California and St. Louis and Indiana and several in Florida, and so we're opening them up very rapidly.
Wow.
We're part of a cell network as well.
So I'm so curious. So as far as like when you put them back with an IV, how long does that take?
Okay, so taking them out is about 20 minutes, 20 to 25, and putting them back in is probably only about 20, 25 minutes, depending on where you're putting them. So an IV, it's just, you've had an IV bag before where you have the saline solution or something that's just
Right.
dripping. So it's just an IV, you're sitting there, it just drips into there, maybe 15, 20 minutes. And then the injections, depending on where you put it, it's just an injection in the knee, it's an injection in the hip. If you're doing your back, for example, it might take a little bit longer because we actually put you under a fluoroscope. What a fluoroscope is like a live x-ray, so it's very accurate as to where they're injecting the stem cells in your back. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes we use an ultrasound if it's for certain body parts. So it's all very, very accurate.
so for instance, I've had ACL and meniscus surgery on both my knees.
So you could have
So-
potentially avoided that by using your stem cells. Because stem cells are actually regenerative. So a lot of people confuse stem cells with PRP. They're like, oh, I had stem cells done. I did the PRP. Well, PRP is a blood plasma. It is not a stem cell. And a lot of people you might have heard of bone marrow stem cells.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Right.
let me explain the difference between bone marrow stem cells and adipose stem cells. So they're both very good. They both have, great properties. But bone marrow is chronological with your age. So let's say if you're 40 years old, you're putting 40-year-old stem cells back in your body. Adipose stem cells are 10% of your age. So if you're 40-year-old, you're putting 4-year-old stem cells back in your body. So So you're putting very young stem cells back into your body, which have
Okay, this is fascinating. I have to slow down and listen to what you're saying.
It really is. It really is fascinating. So stem cells have telomeres on them, and so the length of a telomere is longer, obviously, on a younger stem cell than it would be on an older stem cell. So as we age, our telomeres get shorter and shorter. As we get diseases, the telomeres get shorter and shorter. So what happens when you put these fresh young stem cells back into your body is now you have flooded your body with young stem cells that have long telomeres. And so that's what you want for the anti-aging properties. And for the healing properties, stem cells are non-specialized. So what that means is when they go into your body, they know where the damage is and they know where to go. And they start turning into that once they find that damaged area. So they can turn into tendons, ligaments, bone, cartilage, organs. They actually turn into these things and start regenerating and regrowing those things.
But if you have a specific ailment, like a knee, then you do an injection as well?
Right into the knee.
And so that works quicker, or?
Then it works that area. Some people, everybody gets an IV and an injection where their pains are. Some people, after, let's say your knee hurt and you came back 6 months later because you just want regeneration. So then you just get an IV and it goes all over and just starts finding the areas that need repair. But if you
you keep my stem cells stored. Do I pay for them to be stored?
You do. You pay a one-time setup fee for the cells to be stored to the cell bank. Doesn't come to us. And then it's a very nominal, it's only $2,500 to one time to grow them out. And then it's only $500 a year just to store them there. And then every time you need them, you just pick up the phone or you go online and you order your cells and you can have them FedExed in to us or to any doctor that does injections or IVs.
And in your office, who's doing the injections? Is it a nurse or
So our staff is made up of nurse practitioners, doctors, MD. This all has to be done with over the supervision of a board-certified doctor.
Okay.
So it's...
And what if somebody has arthritis? Would it help arthritis?
It helps arthritis as well.
And is there a point where it's too late to help somebody?
It's never too late to help anybody.
Really?
Because your stem cells are only 10% of your age. So you will always get a benefit from your own stem cells. They're a perfect DNA match. So and there's no downside, no downtime. You're not in any pain. And so there's nothing, you'll always get a benefit. And in fact, you'll get a bonus benefit. I mean, most of the time, I'll give you an example, a friend had her foot done because she had bad pain in her foot, had a boot, they wanted to do surgery, all these things for a year. She didn't know what to do. So she injected her stem cells in her foot. And she plays pickleball 3-4 hours a day now, and that's all good. But the bonus that happened was she had a level 7-8 gum disease, and she went back to the doctor and they're like, your gum disease went down to a level 3. What happened? What did you do? And she said the stem cells. And then she had some age spots on her hands that disappeared. So wait.
Hold on.
Does it help wrinkles?
It does. I'll tell you about that. So the cellular damage.
Handles, wrinkles, age spots.
I love it.
Okay, I think you're hitting our target audience.
So the cellular stem cells fix cellular damage. Skin is a cell. Your skins are cells, right? Everything in your body is made up of cells. So you're starting to repair your cellular damage. Once you store your cells, you can then have a stem cell facial. So what that is they do a microneedling, a really deep microneedling, and then they take your own stem cells, and then they put it on your face, and then that helps start repairing the collagen.
So is this going to take away people who have facelifts and all sorts of
potentially
plastic surgery?
I think people will always do those things. But for people that want to choose natural things, to avoid surgery, avoid drugs, to do things more naturally, what's more natural than your own stem cells?
Right. So there's never a time where it's too late. Is that what you're saying?
No, we do patients even in their 90s. That we had a patient come in recently, and she was in her 80s, and she was just not being very active and just not eating so well, and just not feeling great. After she got her stem cells, she completely transformed her look. We didn't do her face or anything. We just put them in all of her
Felt
IV
good.
and her just complete look just brightened up. She's out of pain. She's just living her best life now, feeling much better. You know, that's what it does. It just makes people feel more energy. And
So what are some common conditions and ailments that are treated with adipose
Sure.
stem cell therapy?
so very common things are musculoskeletal, which are, you know, your bone, your knees, your hips, your elbows, that kind of stuff. A lot of people come in because it's regenerative, so it'll repair. When people say, oh, you're bone on bone, well, guess what? Your stem cells can go in there and rebuild the cartilage and the tendons, the bones and ligaments. We've had people who needed hip replacements. Instead of getting a hip replacement, got their stem cells in the hips and completely regenerated the hip. Didn't need to go and get surgery and spend 6 weeks downtime, physical therapy, all those things that go along with getting a hip replacement. You just get your stem cells injected to your hip and it just regenerates itself. So it's really fascinating.
Has anybody ever had like a negative side effect? No.
There really is no negative side effects because it's your own cells.
I'm thinking about my mom who's in her 80s and she has debilitating, I mean, like her hands are like this from arthritis and her mind is sharp, but her body is just, she's in pain all the time.
Yeah.
And
it would start, I mean, when you have something that bad, you know, the stem cells will help her, but she would probably need to do some dosing. So once they bank her cells and grow them, then you can just have what we do for a lot of patients that have, we do a lot of autoimmune diseases. So MS, Crohn's, lupus, Lyme's disease, all those things, we can get people, get their body regulated. Their immune system gets regulated because the stem cells also take out inflammation in the body. So that's a really big bonus.
Mhm.
But so for things like that, people for autoimmune diseases especially, they dose. So they'll come in for their first session, get the 120 million cells, grow them out, and then they'll come in like every 3-4 months, get another IV, every 3-4 months, or get another IV. So that first year, you're really flooding the body with a lot of stem cells to get rid of that cellular damage, because autoimmune diseases, arthritis, all these things, there's a lot of cellular damage in the body.
Wow.
that's incredible.
I
I know. So what would be like the cost? I mean, for somebody who had autoimmune disease or a knee issue, like, you know, Shannon was saying.
Right. So it is the same cost for everybody across the board. It doesn't change. Right now, the cost is $17,000 for, and that includes the harvesting, the IV, the injections, and then it's a one-time fee to the cell bank of $2,500. And then you have to, then it's $500 a year after that to keep your cells there. So it's the same price for everybody, and that includes all of those things.
And then every time you come in,
Then it's a
to do
nominal charge.
treatment.
Every time you come in, you have to pay for your cells. It's $500. You don't pay to us, but you pay the cell bank. It's $500 for every 10 million cells you order. So if you just need a knee or you need a wrist or something like that, you only need one vial. If you want an all-over regeneration and you want to do an IV, you might need between 5 and 8 vials. So, and it's $500 a vial. But then you can send your cells to any clinic doctor that does IVs and injections. And they can range anywhere from $250 to $1,000, depending on what you're having done.
So is any of this covered under insurance?
Unfortunately, no. It's not. We're trying, we're working on it, but you know, insurance companies
Oh,
take a long time to
We all
get
know.
into the natural side of healing.
Right.
You know, they've got a program with surgery and drugs, and they're not on the preventative side of things yet so much.
So Alzheimer's?
Dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, it's very beneficial for all of those things.
Wow.
Because the stem cells can break the blood-brain barrier, so they actually can rebuild the neurons and regrow the neurons in the brain. So they actually work really well for those type of diseases.
That's incredible. I know. You and I are just in awe.
I know. I mean,
Do you get this reaction
people-
all the time?
Of course. And
Yeah.
you know, you don't want, I'm not trying to say this is, sometimes you hear things that are too good to be true, and people are very skeptical and all those things. But we've done over 25,000 patients with phenomenal results, and it's amazing. And this is really, regenerative medicine is really exploding. This is really where everything is going. Everything is going to regenerative medicine, stem cells. I'm sure you've heard of the hyperbaric chambers and red light therapies and all these things. We do another thing called frequency therapy, which we touched about earlier.
Explain a little bit about that.
And that's where you're actually remotely getting scanned and healed from frequency. It's incredible. And it really enhances the stem cell therapy before and after.
What does that mean, frequency?
So it's like, you just said it was like via Zoom, right?
Yeah,
you had a
do it
Zoom
via
call.
Zoom, and everything, our whole body is made up of frequencies. And so they actually scan your body while you're on the Zoom, and
I know.
Like,
and they start healing your body while they're finding.
This sounds like an episode of Black Mirror.
I know. It's incredible.
But you were telling me, the guy
who
who was scanning you.
Yeah, he found some issues, and then he starts working on it right
and you
there,
felt like a little tingling or something?
I mean, he's actually healing you with this while you're on the Zoom.
He told a gentleman, "Oh, you got a cut on your ankle," and
It's like, remove your sock, you have a cut on your toe.
And the guy didn't know that, and then he removed his sock. He's like, "Oh, I do."
So there's a lot of affordable things that we do, and there's a lot of more expensive things that we do, but everything we do is regenerative, natural healing.
So you have a whole library of things that you do other than the stem cell.
And everything enhances the stem cell and works with the stem cell therapy. That is really what our focus is.
Okay.
But all the other ancillary things enhance the stem cells.
So what other types of applications are there for these, and what other types of regenerative procedures are there out there that are being researched now and used?
So many things. I mean, there's things that come to market later that so many people people that have, maybe I want to say a lot of money, they know, they're doing lots of things that will come to market after, but there's all kinds of things, like I said, like the hyperbaric chambers and the red light therapies and all this, to the nth level. They're doing these things that now are just above and beyond that.
So do you see a time, maybe in the near future, where these become more mainstream, where insurance providers start to approve them?
We hope
what
so.
does that look like?
We hope so.
Are there groups that are lobbying to make this happen?
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
getting it, on the dockets with state or national lawmakers?
Yes, there's groups trying to continually work with regenerative medicine and trying to get some of these things covered. And
Right.
I mean, and it takes time.
Sure.
It's not going to happen overnight, it's going to take some time.
So how did you even find your way to this? Like, what is your background that got you here?
So my background is actually marketing and branding, but the co-founder of our clinic happens to be somebody have known for a long time, many, many, many years. And it's a very interesting story, actually. His son is the light heavyweight champion of the world in boxing, retired now. But he had a fight coming up at Madison Square Garden. This is about 8-10 years ago. And he broke his hand and his ribs like 3 or 4 months prior. So they didn't know what to do because traditional medicine would not allow him to be able to fight in 3 or 4 months.
Would recover
because when you
fast
break
enough.
rib, right.
Yeah.
And so they happened to be friends with a celebrity because of his status of a fighter, who recommended that they go to Panama to get stem cells. And he, like any of us, was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Well, so often when we think about stem cells, we think about what we heard 20 or 30 years ago.
You think of the placenta,
ethical
umbilical,
And bone
the
marrow.
ethical ramifications of that.
That's
Bone
right,
marrow,
you're
that's
right.
what I
And a
usually-
lot of people still think that.
Yeah.
They don't realize that it's your own stem cells. They don't realize that we're not taking donated baby stem cells or something like that.
Right.
That was all in an uproar at the time. So anyway, he flew out to Panama because he's like, he's got to fight. And they donated stem cells at the time. It was just, highly screened, donated stem cells, adipose stem cells, I believe it was. And he was healed and was able to fight. And ever since then, he was like, as soon as this comes to the United States, and he was very close with the pioneers and the founders of this whole adipose thing, and it comes out of Germany and Korea, and all the other countries are way far advanced on these things than we are, Switzerland. But, then when it did come here, he's like, I want to be part of this, and it's been like fast forward, and I've known him for a long time. He's like, I want you to do this with me. We've got to, this is incredible. We're going to help a lot of people. It heals a lot of people. It's a game changer. It's going to change the world. I'm like, what? I'm in. Sounds amazing.
Well, and as we see our aging society and all of the things that come along with that, people are living longer. Mm-hmm. And they're living into their 80s and 90s. And you start to have knee problems and hip problems. And then you start to deal with dementia and all these things that begin to enter into our lives of our parents and our grandparents and things like that. And it's heartbreaking to see someone, Jasmine mentioned her mother, who was active and thriving, and
she did everything right her whole life.
At a moment's notice is completely crippled. My father was, an active part of the community, had been, very intelligent, managed hundreds of people throughout his life, and now has Parkinson's, Lewy body disease, dementia, and he's a completely different man.
So terrible.
So we see this, all of us see this in our lives with someone that we love. Yeah. So the fact that something out there is like that within an arm's length to improve their lives and the lives of people around them who want to continue to spend time with them, the time that they have with them, and enjoy that time.
Absolutely, and it does improve their life. I mean, we have stroke patients come in, like they've had strokes and they couldn't talk or couldn't walk anymore, or just even simple things, paralysis, right? And huge improvements where they get a quality of life back that they wouldn't have gotten at all ages, because young people have strokes too. Mm-hmm. One of our main doctors specializes in, has been doing kids with autism with stem cells.
Wow.
And that has seen incredible results from the kids with autism. They take the parent stem cells and then use it for the children. And the kids that maybe couldn't go to the bathroom or walk to the bathroom by themselves can now do that, or couldn't ride a bike, can ride a bike, and incredible things.
This is amazing information. I am so glad we had you on today, Linda.
I am too.
I am in awe of what we talked about today.
I'm in awe every day when I see patients come in and I see them leave and they're like different people, and it does take a little bit of time. You'll see a difference from day 1 to a month to 2 months to 3 months, because the stem cells, they do their magic, but
it takes time.
It takes time. I mean, you get reduced inflammation right away, but then people will be out of pain in a few days, or it might be a month, and all of a sudden one day they'll wake up and be like, or they'll be like, nothing's happening, and then they'll call like 4 weeks later, I have no pain. And because it takes a little time stem cells got to do their work, and
right.
But the people are just so thrilled.
Wow, we are so appreciative of you being here, and I know we're going to want you back, because I am sure the next time you come back and speak with us, there's going to be even more that you can share with us.
There's so much. I mean, we can do more case studies and success stories, and maybe even bring a couple people that have had it, and they might want to just talk about the results and the process.
That would be amazing.
Yes.
And all these other things that are
Linda,
happening in the
thank you so much.
Thank you,
we
ladies.
appreciate you being here today.
Congratulations on this. It's exciting.
Thank you
for you guys.
And we will put all your information in the show notes. So
Absolutely.
Our listeners, if they want to reach out, if they want to get more personalized information, they will know where to go for that.
And thank you for tuning in again this week. And join us every Wednesday at Help Nobody Told Me.